delighted that you've joined us this morning for the third Titans event of our 2015-2016 series. Today we're delighted and honored to have Tony Moraco, CEO of SAIC and a board member of NVTC, as our guest speaker today. I now would like to thank our Titan sponsors for making this morning's breakfast possible. If you could please take a look at the screens, you'll see a number of sponsors coming up. First, our signature platinum sponsor, Attain, LLC. Our platinum sponsors, the Consumer Technology Association, CTA, formerly the Consumer Electronics Association, CEA, Monster Worldwide, SAIC, and Transformation Systems, Inc. Our gold sponsor, George Washington University, Virginia's Science and Technology Campus. Our silver sponsors, Alliance Science and Technology, Cox Business, the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, Hunt & Williams, J.P. Morgan Chase, Northern Virginia Community College, Robert Half, Russell Reynolds Associates, Serco, Training Solutions, Inc., Uninet, the University of Virginia, and Virginia Tech. Our media sponsors, ESPN 980, Redskins Radio, good season this year, iHeartMedia, Synoptis, and our creative marketing and meeting production sponsor, TriVision Creative. Please help me thank these outstanding companies for their generous support of today's program. Now I'd like to recognize my fellow NVTC officers and board of directors. It really is an honor and privilege to serve with such a distinguished group of business and civic leaders. The names and companies of our board members are included in today's event program. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. I'm also pleased to announce two special guests that have joined us this morning. Scott Rawls, president of Northern Virginia Community College. If you haven't met Scott, please meet him. He's new to Northern Virginia. We're really great to have him here within our community. And Lisa Reeves, president and CEO of Easter Seal, serving D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Give her applause too. Come on, you're gonna. Okay, before breakfast is served, I'd like to highlight some important dates and exciting new programs coming up at NVTC. A quick reminder for anyone who wants to tweet from this morning's event, we'll be using the hashtag NVTC. First, registration is open for our last Titans event for the 2015-16 season. Please join us on April 29th for Adobe Systems President and CEO Shantanu Narayan. Next, top leaders in our region's technology community are invited to participate in the NVTC Tech CEO Networking Series. This exclusive event series is designed to connect technology CEOs with their peers for a night of high-powered networking. That's what it says, high-powered networking. This event is limited to the most senior corporate officer in a technology company, whether that individual is the president, CEO, principal, or managing partner. 3 events are scheduled in the first half of 2016, and we invite you to register if you qualify. You can register for all of these events on our website, www.nvtc.org. Next, the NVTC Veterans Employment Initiative, VEI, is connecting student veterans from our region's colleges and universities with meaningful work-based experiences at NVTC member companies. Through the VEI Scholars Program, companies can identify a specific intern position and be matched with a qualified student veteran for a May through August 2016 internship. Summer internships allow student veterans to experience and onboard the corporate culture and facilitate building a professional network of future peers. The ability to provide professional business mentoring is invaluable to the veteran and something not achieved in a college classroom. This is a wonderful opportunity to find talented potential employees and to provide veterans with the support they deserve from our technology business community. Contact VEI Program Manager Steve Jordan at sjordan@nvtc.org to learn more about the VEI Scholars Program or to offer a position to a student veteran in our region. And just a little bit off script, if you're not involved with our veterans programs, whether it's a student program or the broader program, I would strongly encourage you to do so. It will be meaningful to the veterans who are involved, and also it will be terrific for your company. So please, if you're not involved, please get involved. Finally, NVTC is accepting nominations for the 20th Annual Greater Washington Technology CFO Awards, which will take place on June 1st of this year. The prestigious awards recognize chief financial officers and financiers for extraordinary achievement and excellence in promoting the development of the Greater Washington region's technology community. Our categories this year are Public Company CFO of the Year, Private Company CFO of the Year, Emerging Growth CFO of the Year, and Financier of the Year. Nominations are due by February 26th and can be submitted online at www.nvtc.org. Please enjoy your breakfast, and we'll be back shortly. I'd like to recognize our NVTC business partners. Each of these companies helps make the work of our council possible throughout the year, and I want to thank each of them. Please, if you pay attention to the slides, Booz Allen & Hamilton, CIT, CGI, Deloitte, Deltec, Dominion, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, ICF International, the Unova Center for Personalized Health, KPMG, Maximus, Microsoft, Northrop Grumman Corporation, Pillsbury, PNC Bank, SAIC, Salient CRGT, Venable, and Verizon. Please give them an applause. Our media partner, Washington Technology, our research partner, Gartner, and, very importantly, our premier hospitality partner, the Ritz-Carlton Tysons Corner. Please give them an applause. All right, now please join me in welcoming to the stage Greg Baroni, the Chairman and CEO of Attain, our signature platinum sponsor, to introduce our distinguished speaker this morning. What Greg wanted me to remind, this is our version of Grizzly Adams right here. There we go. Come on, Grizzly.
Oh, man. I love that. Man, you got to love those kind of introductions, Todd, so thanks. Well, you know, this is the first time I get to come up here and not follow a script. I really am looking forward to this. So, well, good morning, everybody. How are you all doing out there? I tell you, for those of you who don't know me, as I'm not Grizzly Adams, I'm actually Greg Baroni. I'm the founder and CEO of a company that's actually based here, actually just a few hundred yards from here in Tysons. We are a consultancy, and I'm going to spend a little time evangelizing, if you don't mind, about us. And so before I get to Tony, and I'm going to enjoy doing Tony this time. In any event, Attain, founded about, you know, I find myself being like the kid, the young person. You know, they always tell you the year they're going to be, not the year they currently are. So we're going to be 7 years old. And while I want to tell you that we are, you know, our long history, and I could, you know, evangelize long and good about that, I'm not going to do that. I'd like to tell you, too, and I'm proud to say that we are growing rapidly. We are hiring lots of people. We have the privilege of serving some incredible clients, and all of that is true. But what I'm most proud about is the company that we're becoming, the rapid evolution into what I call a built-to-last next-generation consultancy, in which we get a chance to forge ahead with a new model and how we can deliver results to our clients. And so whether we're serving the warfighter or whether we're serving our citizens and trying to develop more client-centric types of services, or whether we're working with the universities, and a number of them in the crowds here where they advance the frontiers of knowledge, and we're working alongside them. It's our ability to work with them to really move them forward that makes me so excited. And it's our people and their willingness to do something that impacts the lives of others, and they put their all into it. And so for me, that's what I'm most proud about. So yes, we're growing, and all of those things are great and wonderful, but it's really the impact that we're having, the meaningful impact, and the legacy we're creating that makes me so excited to say that I'm part of Attain. So now to Tony. You know, I'm so privileged to get a chance to introduce our this morning's speaker, because he knows, I think, a thing or two about what it means to be successful. And I think, as he put it in last year's Destination innovation, he says, you know, in order to be successful, it's about thinking and acting differently and finding ways to impact, to create value, and achieve better outcomes and reach a new level of collective success. And so, you know, Tony's spent his career trying to do that for a number of clients, for the companies that he served. And so I know that all of you have his write-up here, so I'm not going to tell you too much more than to say that he's been with SAIC and the parent company for the past decade, really marching it forward to a new destiny. And he's had incredible success in doing so. I'll also say a little bit about his background here. Fortunately, you know, I have to tell you, having no script, I really liked it this way. But I did send out everybody, and I am a master Googler, and I could not find anything. I mean, I'm usually good at finding pictures or something that kind of breaks into their past. Not Tony. He was a Boy Scout. He really was good. And I'll tell you, anybody with a vowel up here, you know that we have some skeletons in our closets. But not Tony. 31 years ago, he journeyed on down here from upstate New York to go to his alma mater now, which is Virginia Tech. Yes, for those of you Virginia Tech, he's a Hokie, and he's very proud of it. So proud of it, in fact, you know, they actually named him, he was inducted into the Academy of Distinguished Alumni here in 2014. He also, by the way, you know, before he journeyed down here, he married his college high school sweetheart. And he has been here since. So he's really, I, like him, had journeyed from a distant land, for me, the West Coast, but for him, upstate New York. And he is one of us. So without reading everything that you can otherwise read here, let me have all of you give him a warm welcome as we bring him on stage here. Tony.
Thank you all, and good morning. So yeah, I'm not quite the Boy Scout that maybe you did, but what I am is a veteran of the intelligence community, and we get trained early to stay off the grid. So I try to do that. So it's a bit of a dichotomy with the technology company and the like, but I do all my social networking and media through my spouse, through Kathy. So if you need to find out about me, then just friend Tony Moraco, and then you'll find out more about what's going on in the Moraco family. And that's how we kind of spy on our kids as well. So good morning. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the adjustment in time and schedule. It was a big debate during the post-blizzard week that we had, and ice and all the like. I think there's still some snow piles still out there, but hopefully everybody's safer. And so again, thanks for adjusting your schedules. To join us this morning, I'm going to talk a bit about innovation in the context of our market. You're obviously here with Northern Virginia Technology Council because you play in this ecosystem. So thank you, Todd. Thank you, Greg. Thanks, Bobby. So I'm honored to be here. If you've been around a while, you've heard from legacy SAIC CEOs. A couple of them address this audience. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about SAIC today, a little bit of the background quickly on the spin, how we got here, and how the company continues to change and driving innovation around what we're doing in our marketplace. A little bit about the federal market as a primary federal contractor, and some of the innovation, if you will, or strategies around growth, technology integration, which is our core, and how there are different ways to innovate. And you touched on the destination innovation and those themes. There's lots that we can do. There's a lot that we can do together. We partner all the time. We rarely go to market alone. But there are some other policy things and voices collectively through things like NVTC that can really drive change for our federal government customers to get better outcomes, as Greg touched on. SAIC is a 47-year history. Dr. Bob Beister is the founder. But the company in 2012, I'd been there about 8 years or so, about 7 years, been there 10 now, running different businesses. The company evolved over time, as you would think, and we spun for two primary reasons. One, to resolve organizational conflicts of interest that exist if you do government contracting, in part because the portfolio had evolved over time And we saw, as a large $11 billion company, challenges to navigate. And one organization already had a presence on system engineering, and it precluded the other part of the organization actually do development. So we found ourselves self-selecting out of work that we all felt we could do. At the same time, the federal budgets were contracting dramatically, the downturn after theater operations and the like. And so the competitive landscape was shifting very, very quickly. And we looked at strategically about how do we get our rates, how do we align our businesses better. Investments were going off in different directions across that broad portfolio. And so we made that decision strategically with an eye on the markets, the customers, the employees, and the shareholders. So we knew as we spun, as we built and designed the new company, we went through this portfolio alignment, very complicated unwinding of a very integrated business, or intertwined business, probably a better word, versus those businesses perhaps that you might see that have operated independently as an extension of a core business. This was very different than that, and it took about a year to sort through the portfolio alignment, the organizational structures, and we had about 100 people working through a management office to drive that as a full-time job. So we knew we had to be more effective, more efficient. We wanted to enter the market, as a strong new public company, so we spun as a $4 billion new company with a great legacy. But we knew we had to be different in that, and so, in the context of innovation, we really took a bold move to redesign the company into the form of a matrix, which exists today, so that we could, in fact, operate more as an enterprise than as a federation of independent businesses that was really the essence of SAIC over its long history. Worked great for 30, 40 years, but the market conditions we felt were changing so rapidly that you really had to consolidate resources and focus on certain customers, and that's what drove that outcome. So we had a great team to do that. A lot of change management, 15,000 folks, about 2,000 contracts. We split up prime vehicles between the former parent, now known as Leidos. And we really went on this journey to put together a matrix. And so part of those elements that I think hopefully resonate with you that you can leverage perhaps is the fundamentals were around focus on our customers, right, our markets, break it down into market segments, into accounts. And we centralized the resources that knew those accounts, right? Mission focus, one of our core values, as opposed to a localized section where one team was having so many different kinds of customers across the federal landscape. So we consolidated so that the Army guys were together, the Navy guys, the federal civilian folks, and the like, so that that one team with the domain knowledge on the customer side, mission knowledge, could be more efficient in deciding what to bid on and how to execute and solve mission problems. In turn, we consolidated this broad set of capabilities across a full life cycle of services, from system engineering, software integration, hardware integration, network integration, logistics, training, simulation, down the line. And so you have this huge portfolio of capability. We consolidated those, and today we operate a $4.5 billion business as a technology integrator. That's the primary theme. We had a great opportunity in May to bring on the Cytor Corporation to round out that market facing organization in the intelligence community that we consciously left behind with the parent. So there was synergy there and a shared value proposition. So today we're $4.5 billion, a technology integrator. We run this matrix, 5 customer-facing groups and 7 service lines. We have all of our customer-facing bid, capture, and execution down through program management, and all the technical resources aggregated together that they then can bring their expertise, build their capabilities, operate as a cohort for mentoring across that portfolio. And so we've got a very robust skills development internal, aligned to the pull and mission demand that is coming through the customer groups. And it's been very, very effective. And we're gaining more and more momentum. As you've seen in this past year, we've been successful in a number of major awards, in large part, we think, due to the differentiation from the matrix and our ability to rally those resources more efficiently. A much stronger pipeline aligned to our business. Our win rates are going up. And I'll touch on elements that go forward in that domain. But innovation, right, one example is that operating model and how do you drive forward. But we are a technology company as well, and it's important that we continue to change and have changed and align to the mission requirements that are out there. So as we move forward, we adopted a lot of things for business continuity. We moved forward. We rebranded the company. It was a major initiative, day one, of who SAIC is and isn't. Because a lot of confusion of who we are, who Leidos is, what you did, what you didn't do. We were the spin, but we took the name. That confused some people. So, they're still the parent, and we are moving forward as an independent company, and we operate very much as two independent entities with two very different strategies going to this marketplace. At least at the time of the spin, there were different strategies. Anyway, so we redefined ingenuity. We are focused on integrity, mission focus, empowerment, creativity, core values. We think about differentiated solutions, as you probably do as well, across that landscape of cloud, cybersecurity, enterprise IT domains, data analytics, the mission side on autonomous vehicles and systems, mobile applications across the board, looking to the future on Internet of Things as we try and bring together both mission and IT. Things like additive manufacturing and 3D printing, driving prototyping in a whole new way. And that's a very disruptive technology where you really have to think differently, not about what you could have machined in the past, but now what you can design. So that's really a good example. And if you haven't looked at additive manufacturing on the process side of where innovation's coming and how you have to move back up the design chain to get a different impact and outcome. So if you're thinking like an engineer over the last 20 years, you're not going to get the full value out of the additive manufacturing disciplines. A bit about our customers. Federal contracting, we're at 98%. It's a challenging marketplace, as you know, with the budgets, but it's a big market. And there's a lot that the government needs, and they are changing as well. And you've seen them evolve. People talk about their life cycles. I've characterized it as somewhat neutral to positive today. We navigated the sequestration. Turns out, we spun the day the government shut down. That was a little challenging. So our customers went away the first week of business. But I would say that we are resilient and persistent, and we came out strong and haven't looked back. So the government changes. This 2-year budget cycle hopefully helps for more continuity, more confidence in the budgets. And we think at this point, given all the pent-up demand of submitted proposals, that they should be able to, and hopefully will, have more confidence to begin further investment from what's been kind of this annual operations and support to the larger, bigger, transformational programs that are multi-year that perhaps they've been reluctant to do because the budgets were so uncertain. But we think there's more clarity now from 2016 to 2022. And so collectively, we think the market is improving slightly and should give us all reasons to move forward. But with the declines, the needs haven't really changed substantially. They still want and need to be more efficient. We see the blending of the CIO's office for cost reduction to move monies into mission. So those are very much integrated. The threats are obviously there throughout the globe, creating more opportunities for us to serve the mission as they go forward. And so with that, the threats expanding, wanting to be more secure, they are seeking more mission capabilities faster, and that leads to the innovation equation again. Right? So the good news is that although it has its challenges, it is one of the biggest markets in the world, the biggest customer in the world, and they're right here. Right? So as entities like NVTC come together, we really do have a differentiation about making sure that innovation is recognized in this region, in large part because we serve the federal government. It is a big ecosystem of both commercial and federal providers, and I'll touch on that in a second. But it's a good place to be, and the demand is surely not changing. So, but the government does want more competition, better prices. I think those are correlated, right? The budgets are down. We compete. We love to compete, right? And by default, that competitive landscape, as it changes, will drive price down. So we're trying to encourage our customers. We don't need more governance and policy to drive competition. We're very competitive, right? We are not being less competitive. It is your budget decline has forced us in a much more competitive environment. Be confident you are getting a good price because no one's padding any budgets or any proposals. This is lean. We've taken out our cost. So let's drive forward and let's focus on mission capability. And at least we're seeing some rhetoric change where it is moving to time to market on a practical basis inside their budgets that meet their strategic intent. So time to market should be, again, should resonate whether you're commercial or federal, yet mission capability deployed faster. And I'll give you one example. as we talk about this landscape changes, whether it's better buying power or bending the cost curve with the Secretary of the Air Force. So striving for innovation through this process is really fundamental. And it's not all about technology, and I touched on some of the areas that we are investing in, but it's also about your processes, right? We talked organizational construct and how you can innovate around that to be more effective, technology itself on how you rally around that. But we've also looked at our resources and look at the competitive landscape and change the game on how you compete. And we're doing that in the hardware platform business against some of the OEMs by delivering a services business model, right? So we split as a federal contractor, government services, but it's fundamental to understand we're a services business model. We're not a product company, but we build solutions. We build things that work and we build things that generate an outcome. So the AAV program, real quick, it's Assault Amphibious Vehicle Survivability Upgrade, is a modernization of a 40-year-old platform that protect the Marines as they go to the fight. So this program that the government and Marine Corps, we are advocating is a phased approach, a practical approach within a budget constraint. It's a design to cost model. They knew what their budgets were. They let industry share, and the Marine Corps, I think moving forward, like maybe the days of old, did have a robust dialogue with industry to understand current technical capabilities that are in the market today, and also an awareness of what the exquisite technologies will be in the future. And they consciously built a program that meets threshold objectives now, so they can deploy something soon, with an eye on a technology on-ramp to get that new technology, that next generation, onto the program as the program matures over the next 10 to 20 years. And that dialogue of knowing what we could deliver, I think, resolves some risks on setting requirements today, waiting for that one exquisite thing. Schedules get stretched, budgets get stretched, nobody's happy, customers are miserable, we're ECPing them all the time. It's just a challenge to get done, and you've got 80% of it sitting on the shelf and one thing's holding it up. Right? We got to get more mission capability out. And so we did that with the customer. They've been very proactive. Industry played as a down select from 4 to 2 to 1. And part of that is aligned around how we, I think, created some difference in our change in that landscape, is under the services model, we partnered with the customer and we leveraged the Marine Corps' organic infrastructure at the depot to help us disassemble the vehicles as they come in, right? So they help us, we help them. It's a partnership on system engineering, what's the art of the possible to what we can deploy. We'll rely on our systems engineering expertise and a broad view of the marketplace, right? We don't build the product, we don't build the platform, but we do broad analysis of alternatives, and we take that across the marketplace, a lot of the same suppliers that the OEMs would use, but we package those differently to meet, in this case, survivability upgrade. And the short story is we want to make the vehicles more safe, because they were getting blown up from the bottom, so they needed Under Armour on the bottom, better protection, more armor, but you still had requirements to get to the fight. So that drove us to mobility. So you had to change out engines and transmissions to meet the same speed as you had a heavier vehicle as you protected the Marines. So that broad system engineering of complex elements, bringing them together, picking the best, using a very strong strategic partner supply chain, and not carrying the overhead of a fixed factory, but rather scale up and down. And we do a lot of integration in Charleston, South Carolina. But it's a very configurable, open 500,000 square feet of integration space, not a factory production line. And we tailor it up and down. And so that's what's really changed the game. We think it's about a 10 or 15% value proposition on the cost side. It's time to market faster with current mission capabilities, with the ability to on-ramp and get to next generation. We took that same approach and recently we were awarded the next generation of that similar vehicle on the amphibious combat vehicle. Another platform, this one wheels, has different mission requirements with a commercial platform, which was, again, a Marine Corps requirement to get to market faster versus starting a whole new platform progression and procurement, which would take a decade. So we've shaken up the market a bit. That's exciting. Always fun to do, to be a new entrant, or at least perceived to be. I think the SAIC has always kind of been under the radar in some areas, but we've delivered and integrated 40,000 tactical vehicles over the decades. The MRAPs way back when. We did a lot of work out at Fort Bliss. So we have a very robust tactical vehicle integration capability. We've now taken that same capability of plug and play on comms and things on a vehicle. We've now taken that to the next level as a full-up business model to come up with an end state to go head-to-head with the OEMs. And that's what you're seeing in the marketplace. Again, to deliver mission capability at a better price, and it's competitive, right? And the legacy companies with new entrants like you do, shaking them up, it's kind of fun, to kind of understand, and the government benefits, right? So it gets a lot of energy. Half the team are Marines working on the programs. So you have this great mission capability and going forward. And you have to rely on the different innovation capabilities that are out there. I'll touch on, shifting gears a bit, to new innovation and the government seeking, quote, non-traditional partners and players and technologies. And that comes all across the landscape, whether it be cyber, IT, threat, mission capabilities, weapon systems, and the like. So that non-traditional, great idea, but this region, you all here, provide those, right? And so although we hear, defense heading to Silicon Valley, that's all interesting, and they may get some and derive some value there, but innovation's occurring all across the country. We have an obligation, I think, and an opportunity to leverage that and increase awareness. And so I think things like Destination Innovation that NVTC hosts, and I think future trade show type format elements will help drive and expose us to each other, to better partnerships, and ultimately to better access to our customers. So this region, this area around this government, the challenges, this commercial landscape, is tricky business sometimes, but getting non-traditional players into the game, it's important. But I just offer up that there's a value proposition of if you are strictly commercial, finding a federal contractor partner may be a path that you consider. And in turn, the federal contracting community has a very effective means to play the middleman, if you will, to draw in that commercial technologies, navigate the heavy compliance and regulatory environment of federal contracting, and give the customers what they need, because they not only need the technology, but they demand compliance around program management, system engineering, procurement requirements, and a whole gambit of executive orders all through legislation that you have to be compliant or you put your program at risk, and fundamentally you can put your company at risk if you don't comply, right? You don't want to touch this, get into this game, and then get tagged and being suspended or debarred because you made a mistake in the compliance realm. It's tricky. You have to make the investments, and you see businesses today, commercial and federal, public sector, private sector, you have to separate your businesses. It's hard to do both. Greg's found a way to do a little bit of both in that portfolio, but it has to be a very conscious strategic decision to do that. So you can. You've seen some businesses, again, align differently, and we've seen some in the more recent transaction, the market activities, some say, look, we want to be more strictly commercial, more strictly public sector, so that they can, in fact, be more efficient. So there's lots of ways to play it, but the trend seems to be more focused because there are substantial challenges. SAIC offers a value proposition, as I said, to both sides, that we can bring the program management, system engineering, and compliance structure, and yet still integrate quickly, be agile in the integration, right? Won't kid you, you won't get someone to cut you a check in a week, right? This still takes a year or two. So if you're interested, get started now. We are now just seeing the results from last year are really proposals we submitted when we spun 2 years ago, right? With the protests and the like, you're at 12 to 24 months from the time of a capture to the time of award, right? It takes time. Now, there's a lot of work in between because once you're on a job, IDIQs and the like, you can kind of navigate, get incremental work. But the big programs that penetrate a customer takes time. The good news, unlike commercial, this customer tells you when they're going to buy something. They write it down. They tell you what they want. If we do a better job of telling them what they need and what they could, in fact, use, then we will help each other. They will get what they want faster, and industry will be able to respond more quickly. And in turn, if we don't have it today, we'll know where they're going, and that will drive our innovation and R&D budgets in the future. All right. So one last thought as we kind of close, and we can take questions. I've touched on your operational model innovation, the technology component, technology transfer, or technology non-traditionals. But that technology transfer is maybe a takeaway on thinking about how we in fact innovate versus think about inventing, right? There's a lot of cool technologies that are emerging. That invention is important, but innovation in large part can be derived from the technology transfer of things that already exist. That facilitates time to market, again, because it's a proven technology in one marketplace, in one application, or in one customer, is a very effective way to get to market fast. Right? It's proven out somewhere else. We have in technology transfer an in-house capability across our 5 customer groups and the 7 service lines. You have a model that we can do internal technology transfer, if you will. Okay. It's not around air conditioning and HVAC. So with the technology transfer inside, we describe it as a protect, expand, and grow strategy. And protect is protect your incumbent work, baseline work, that you top of mind. You don't want to lose work. It's hard enough to win it. Expand is an opportunity to sell more services to the customers you know very well. And use enterprise IT as an example. If you can sell or you have a help desk service for a client, then you can move up the food chain and sell application services. And then maybe you can sell them some architecture and some networks. And now that you understand the IT networks, maybe you jump over to what's riding on the network and the mission capabilities. And the alternative is true. Strong mission capability. I understand what your mission is, like we do with tactical vehicles. We're an IT provider for Central Command. We understand the mission of trying to get orders from Florida to the field to the guy in the tactical vehicle that, oh, by the way, we probably put the comms package in. So now we can work with the CIO's office on the IT side to help tweak the network, to crank up the gain so we can move full motion video or command and control to the field, and then those things become very collaborative. And you become a full service provider. But it's that internal technology transfer that's very important. And on the grow side, you can take that same technology that's proven and move it to an adjacency. And Greg and I talked to a natural adjacency. Going 3, 4 levels out, going from federal to commercial, big stretch. But there are logical adjacencies. DOD to DOD is a very close one. But in federal, recently with the growth side, we have a very robust training and simulation capability. And we can take that, develop that with Navy Fleet Forces, a lot of other internal defense-like activities. Partnering with Blackboard, a more broader platform. We won the FAA air traffic controller contract, in part because we had domain knowledge with FAA, we knew them well, training and simulation folks had capabilities that hadn't served that customer. We made the connection, and that's an award over $500 million that we won that we never would have bid before we spun. Because the organizations were stovepiped, they didn't know what each were doing, and we would not have been able to rally the resources fast enough to put together a capture and be successful. So you have that same opportunity in technology transfer outside. That's why we partner. That technology transfer, if you have a capability proven in one place, find channels for it. And again, federal contracting, if you're interested in that space, companies like ours are a very robust channel for that. But proven technology, I think, meets and aligns very well to our customers' current mission requirements. So the market's growing modestly, 1% to 2%. So we're really excited about that booming business. But it's billions and billions and billions of dollars. And I don't think anybody has much more than a tiny little market share. So even if you hear about all the market landscape changes and all the competition, touch on this scale. The legal entities are interesting as they come apart, put back together. It's around scale in the businesses that you serve, right? Because if you're competing in the IT side, then how much weapon systems work I have isn't really that relevant, right? But we have businesses, billion-dollar businesses in the Army, in the Navy, in federal civilian. So we have scale in the markets we serve, and that's what you should try and seek. And if you don't, find a good partner that does, because you'll be able to leverage that. So organizations have to change to adapt and thrive. Industry and government collaboration is key. I ask for your support. Advocate to spend more time with your customers. It works. Help them define better requirements. If they want fixed price, they have to write a better statement of work. If they write a bad statement of work, then we're going to pad it with fixed price. They won't get what they want, right? And usually they write a fixed price statement of work intent. They send it out as a draft. Industry asks 1,000 questions. You got to define. They come back, I don't have the answers, I need your help, and they go to cost reimbursable. So it's this vicious cycle, but we can help them, and the AAV program we talked about is a fixed price program with well-defined requirements and a very robust plan. So innovation, it drives around that next generation mission capability. So the demand signal's there, exploit current state technology, get it deployed, but have the roadmaps for technology innovation and that next generation capability that exists or will exist in the future. Grow. To grow, you have to adapt. Our customers are changing. If you just look around the market, read the papers, the market is changing so quickly, whether it be on the technology side and IoT, Internet of Things, or just the ability for companies to compete. But everybody has to be adaptive, and that's just table stakes. But customers will benefit from those new capabilities. They will deliver. They'll benefit from that faster delivery at an affordable price. Don't ever forget about implementation. Right, touching back on if you're federal government and you buy commercial, there are many examples where I bought what I wanted, but I could never get it into the game. So many capabilities sit on the shelf because we skip that step of implementation. Our customers, like your businesses, you don't stop doing what you're doing while you're running your business. You got to kind of insert that along the way. So you have to help them and have a good implementation plan. If you don't understand the customer's dynamics and mission capabilities in their own change management environment, then you're going to be disadvantaged to actually get it deployed. So be attentive. We can help on many fronts. They'll operate more effectively, more efficiently. That'll generate more resources for them to buy. That gives our ability to grow. That gives us more investment to again, innovate. So that ecosystem, that life cycle is very important. It drives all of our businesses. And as a result, I think we'll be able to thrive. The government will thrive. The nation will thrive. And we'll be in good shape. Okay? How about that? It's very simple. All right, so that's it. Thank you. So I threw a lot at you in about half an hour, and I think we have a few minutes for questions that we can take on whatever's on your mind. Those that you got to know me, so one of my deals with this whole CEO thing is getting out, talking to people, much more talking than I've ever done. And many more pictures than I've ever had in my lifetime. So, but anyways.
We're going to give you an award first, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, great, thanks.
So this will show my age, but Tony asked before I get up here, he said, give me a signal at 25 minutes. And you were only at 24. And the signal was, if you remember the movie The Sting, Paul Newman and Robert Redford, it was this. But instead, we got the air handler, so I can't explain that. But anyway. But thank you very much for sharing your insights. And most importantly, thank you for your leadership of SAIC, and SAIC's great leadership within our community. He's a great member of our community, great member of NVTC, and we just really appreciate you being here this morning. We have, as a token of our appreciation, the plaque to present to you to thank you for being here this morning.
Very cool.
So if you would come on over here, I think we're going to take some pictures, or where do you want to be? All right.
All right.
We'll take a few more.
Come over here. Greg, thank you very much. Thank you. Excellent.
There you go.
A Titan. Ooh. All right.
Okay.
All right, that's cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. We would, Tony has some time to take some questions. No reporters per our protocol. And if microphones are here, if you just go to the microphone, identify who you are and the company that you are with, and he'd be happy to take some questions.
Sir.
Good morning, Tony. I'm Jim Leach. I'm with Raging Wire Data Centers. We're one of the data center companies in Loudoun County that's helping to be a part of this big data center boom.
That's great.
And thanks very much for the presentation this morning. Congratulations to you and your team on the great work at SAIC.
Thanks.
The question I have is one of the numbers you mentioned was this 12 to 24 month time frame between capture and award.
Right.
For a company like ours, 12 to 24 months is a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time for our company too.
And I'm wondering if we love working with companies like yours on projects, and I'm wondering if you find that 12 to 24 month time frame to be a constraint in working with companies like us, and if there's anything that SAIC is doing to help to kind of generate that ecosystem.
Sure. I'll put a finer point on the sales cycle. So in large part, contracts in general, I'll generalize, and a lot of you know this, right? You're kind of on 5-year terms. the government sets up these large scope contracts. 80% of our business is indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract vehicles. So it's all driven by task orders. We're 90% prime. So one opportunity is get on a team that has that market access on an IDIQ, and then you've got a little bit better opportunity on the task orders to intersect with a mission requirement. And I think the task order environment and why there's been such a predominant use of them is it does provide additional flexibility. Now the government hasn't been that efficient. It'd be ideal if they put out their broad scope. In essence, you're pre-qualifying a large stable of companies. Unfortunately, in some cases, you would think if you're going to neck it down to 2 or 3, because each of them have 20 and dozens of other companies. So you already have hundreds of suppliers. Yet, because of compliance and source selection and protests, everybody gets an award sometimes, right? So, but within that, punchline is really find the vehicle that gives you the channel, and the task orders can get you there, and working with the government. So not everything takes that long. Technology insertion points, my suggestion would be is find a balance. You'll know where you can move forward, and as you build a pipeline, you'll have your near-term opportunities. But don't lose sight of that 1 year, 2 year out. Have that directional, and get on teams that allow you to intersect with that. Because we can promote that and use task orders as a fundamental way to do that. The R&D monies are a bit tough to chase. So I'd say just as an opportunity to get in the game faster, task orders is at least one angle to help facilitate that. And the government buys a lot through that. And all the contracting community primes have those vehicles. So talk to the solutioning folks, make the connection. Together we'll find the most appropriate contract vehicle. There's lots to navigate. Fair enough?
I got a question.
That's one view.
I got a question. You mentioned acquisitions and consolidation. There's been a lot of consolidation spins and over the last couple of years. When you look out over the next 24 months, what do you see happening within the industry? Do you see continued consolidation, spins, or what are your views on that?
No, I think we're going to see constant movement. It's in this whole thing around change. I think you've seen companies be more specific in what they're going to do, right? Same trend. Customers say, I can't do everything for everybody. I got to be more selective what I'm going to be good at. I think we've seen trends somewhat driven by market access, but also by the competitive landscape, and the budgets drove that, to get to a cost model that's different than it was 10 years ago. And so that kind of, your business starts to almost naturally separate. In the federal contracting, we all live within these indirect rates that you have to expose to your customer. The way you organize your business, you could be in a position where a certain business gets an allocation from the parent, right? And so you heard the Lockheed story, right? So that IS&GS business as a service side maybe is drawing too much allocation, and so some believe that they can be more efficient separate from that kind of parent. We felt the same way, right? We felt we could be more, as part of the separation, be more competitive, separate. We can refine our cost structure to be more competitive just as the others. So the competitive landscape's driving change, and I don't think that's going to change, but most of the cost has been taken out because of the budget pressures. So now it's more around strategic positioning, and I think the motivations now are around growth. And how do you grow in a market? Because I can't increase, as far as public companies and private, you can't increase your earnings any longer by taking out more cost. That game's over. There's some modest things, but you can if you bring two pieces together. There's some synergy, right? We talk about cost synergy. So that may improve the efficiencies, and you might get more earnings out of that as one entity instead of two. But you got to watch, well, how's the allocation play out back and forth? So I think growth will drive it, market access. Some use acquisition, so consolidation, acquisition, to offset the challenges of organic growth. But organic growth really is still the fundamentals for your business. You can't buy your way out of it. But you can be strategic in what you buy so that you can improve your ability to grow organically, right? It's not one or the other. They're very tightly coupled, and that's why we bought Cytor to get market access. And I think companies are going through that same mindset. Where am I going to be strategically positioned? What do I need to buy to penetrate that? What no longer is part of my portfolio that maybe I'm not the best investor in it? Particularly if I'm going to underinvest consciously, let that business perhaps align with one that can actually feed it more successfully. Does So just ways that I would think about it.
Tony, thanks.
keep
It's
going.
Frank Blackstone
Hi,
with
Frank.
Blackstone Council. Thanks for mentioning Destination Innovation. At that meeting, you had discussed some of the 3D printing aspects that you guys had gotten into. You mentioned it again today. Is there anything else in the landscape that you see similar to that that might be a new business area for SAIC?
Similar to 3D printing, or
The sort of technology advance and
Yeah,
innovation in
sure.
that area, is there something
Yeah.
else we should know about?
Well, we touch on, we just came from a 3-day offsite with our leadership team. Doug Wagner led us through a discussion on Internet of Things. It was a big discussion at the Computer Electronics Show. So that, you could argue is that next generation, or at least one of them. And the complexities that environment and the connectivity that's now been enabled by mobile devices and Bluetooth and the like. So you have so much access, and I forget the numbers, but we're going from 5 billion to 50 billion kind of type trending. The connections to everybody connected, everything connected. I think we see that as a major opportunity, and we're trying to look at it from two sides. How can that capability better an outcome, whether it be for people, society, like the nation? So how do you leverage that technology for better outcomes? But in turn, that also creates a lot of threats, at least threat opportunities. And so countering the bad use of those same technologies, right? So think about drones and unmanned systems. I touched on that. So that market's exploding, right? Everyone's worried about all the Christmas gifts going out and then the White House getting inundated with drones. But it's legit. There's a serious threat of, as you introduce those technologies, how will they be used and how will they be misused? And so there's as much interest in countermeasures. You see cyber is a great example, right? Great capabilities. It's enabling so many businesses, but you got to keep an eye on the cybersecurity front. How are you going to protect those assets? So if you think about IoT, great connectivity, but every time you make that connection, maybe becomes a vulnerability. And how do you counter that? And we have run businesses that can maybe play on both sides so that you can deliver capability, but do it in a safe, secure way that protects the primary interest so it doesn't get abused. So IoT is a big deal, and there's other technologies around autonomy, which you'll see each and every day. There's some cool companies out there doing some very interesting things.
Let me ask you just a question. You spoke this morning about innovation, and I've heard you speak many times eloquently about the importance of innovation, not only at your company, but also within this region. As we kind of pull back a little bit and think regionally, real and perceived innovation, obviously it's important for both our customers as well as talent to look at this region as a region of innovation.
Right.
What do you think we need to do, both from a perception standpoint and a real standpoint, to be higher on that innovation quotient scale?
I touched on a destination innovation. I came up with, marketing is one. I mean, we have a great brand. We know what we are doing. You have great past performance. So I think the technology companies that are in place today and success kind of breeds success. So as we think about all the activities with NVTC, partnerships with academia, driving the workforce, and creating an environment and a region that is vibrant around that, we talked amongst the board on, an early indicator is where's the VC money going, right? And right now, this region has diminished in that attraction. So to reverse that, forums like this and our ability to project where that innovation is coming from, demonstrate it. I think we have to show it more so, right? You got to prove it to me. The days of a good idea, thought leadership, let me give you a PowerPoint, give me some money, and I'll give you something in a couple of years. I mean, that's long gone. So I think that proven technology plays into this tech transfer. How can you show a value proposition quickly? Give that to your customer. This business is driven by past performance. So if you have a niche play with one customer, you can expand that to another because they talk to each other all the time. So we've got to, I think, connect industry to provide, a really serious marketing campaign, if you will, of what is going on, and then help facilitate the dialogue inside government to government, so that they understand more fully where those opportunity sets are. Right? Because the government has their own challenges. They get bogged down, big enterprise. we can play a very critical role in messaging for the government, right? We've been up on the Hill a lot. The legislators, they're trying to learn too. We've had recent discussions. What help define the services business, right? And we're telling, it is not a one-size-fits-all. Staff augmentation, knowledge-based research, there's all a range of things. So be very careful. But I think our dialogue amongst ourselves in this region to show what's there, and it's not that it has to be homed here in all cases, because you got to draw it in. But this region, I think, can play a critical role in that partnership. And we have such great proximity to this great customer that take advantage of that, understand the collective story, right? It's hard to do it yourself sometimes, particularly as you're talking to the government about policy changes and legislation. The associations such as these, the councils, they help, and they're a substantial player. But understanding the challenges, opportunities, and if we collectively are consistent in the messages to the government, in this case, what we can do, how we can do it more effectively, and show them that value proposition and demonstrate it on a practical level, then I think this region can be very, very vibrant, and I think you'll then start seeing more resources stay, more resources coming to this region. We have to work, though, with the environment, the culture, whether it's the traffic or the cost of living and things. I mean, those are elements of the workforce. But the workforce is diverse. It is spread all over the place. It's virtual. So, what happens on 66 shouldn't drive our whole workforce strategy, right? Because we got people everywhere, Loudoun County and elsewhere. So being creative, one thing on that point, trying to get our customers, 2/3 of our staff work at a customer location, okay? Good news there, they know the customer, they're working with them, working with other companies. I don't have as much real estate as I used to have, right? So costs are manageable. But that proximity limits what the government wants. I still want the cyber engineer with 20 years experience for like $50K. Okay, well, you're not getting that. All right, but when I want them like down the hall, right? It's not working. And so we're starting to see a bit of a crack in that domain of some flexibility. This is where we can all help each other. Flexibility in not necessarily the delivery of the smart person who sits next to you so you can walk out when you got a question because you got to go see your boss as a government official, right? But a workforce that is flexible, dynamic, and has the technical capacities required to meet your needs and be agile each and every day. So advocating for that and letting us manage the technical subject matter expertise. I'm a firm believer. Government has a role to play, inherently governmental and the like, right? They've kind of whittled out some of the subject matter expertise. Industry, they acknowledge industry is leading technology innovation. There are definite pockets in the government that still need to lead on the exquisite side, but generally that's what's playing out. We are the stronger workforce. It is more cost competitive, dollar for dollar, so let us help you, but to do that you gotta be a little more flexible and talk about outcomes, not how many people badged into your office that day. So just a bit of a rant, but that's my feelings on it.
Great. Please join me again in thanking Tony Moraco.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great day. Okay. Cool? Good? Yeah, let me just take this real quick here. Thank you so much.
That's great. It was wonderful. Okay, just a couple quick announcements. Hold on. Don't leave just yet. Tony, again, thank you. Just very quickly, we're collecting badges, so please leave those outside. And also just a reminder that our last Titans event is on April 29th. Adobe Systems President, CEO, Shantentu Narayan will be here. Thank you again for being here this morning. Have a great day.